Today we have very important story from Jon about Belarus.
No.
Uh,
Are we doing
Take it
that?
away, Jon, on today's not so critical update.
Oh, that's how we're doing it. Okay. All right. Here's Jon.
Oh.
We're going to be talking about the Belarusian Railway and how a group of hacktivists brought it down, or as they say in our friendly bleeping computers article, they encrypted the servers. What do you guys? How do you guys feel about this? What do you guys think?
I thought it was No, you go first.
My understanding is that this was done by a group in protest of Russia using the railways to move troops into the area. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So these would be presumably people on like the pro-Ukraine. Well, then why are they attacking the railroad? Railroad itself?
It's more not pro-Ukraine, right? I think this is a secondary result of being anti-Russian expansion.
Yeah.
So the Belarusian government has been under a lot of fire lately for borderline, well, one being Putin's little muppet, and two, running a borderline dictatorship. Now, there was a bunch of protests, hundreds of thousands in the street, and people started disappearing. People were killed in the streets by the police. And through these protests and unrest, a group of hacktivists was formed. As the article suggests, this is a group of 25-ish people who now, and they've done a series of attacks in the past, but obviously in the height of the tension that's occurring between Ukraine and Russia started using the Belarusian Railway to move troops to the Ukrainian border, and they brought the railway down and encrypted the servers. They said the group said that they also have the capability of I think it was taking down emergency services for the railway, if I remember correctly. I'm going off of memory here. They've not done so yet, but if things continue to escalate, they will. If Russia doesn't back off.
So, Peter, do you see this as a step towards your cyber nuclear war? This feels like kind of a side skirmish.
I think it's really interesting because. Sorry, Mike, you still there?
So, step towards your cyber nuclear war.
So, yeah, I do think it is. I think it's a kind of an example of guerrilla cyber warfare. This is like an outside group that are getting involved. That kind of like, the guerrillas who are kind of independent and not really part of the official attacks or anything, or not. They just think that something wrong is happening, so they're trying to do what they can.
So how does this turn into a state conflict? Russia would retaliate against Ukraine specifically just because they're on that same side, and then the U.S. is forced to escalate, or like what takes this into a like international conflict versus just a hacker?
Well, there's only three states. There's Belarus and Ukraine and Russia involved. I don't actually know how Russia or whoever would react. So my question would be, when this has happened before, how's it played out? In real life, like if there was, let's say, if there were troops being transported across the border and a guerrilla guerrillas attack the actual railway, how would Russia react in that case? Because that's kind of what's happened. It's just online.
Was there ever an update on the Ukrainian servers that were taken down?
Not that I could hear or heard of. I didn't hear anything about an update on that. But regarding Peter's example, I think what they would do is they would go after them, just like Russia probably is planning
After
to.
who?
The Belarusian protesters, the hacktivists. So the problem is that a big issue here, this is extremely difficult to verify because Belarus is a very, very tightly run ship when it comes to data and information leaving. So it's hard to get this type of information, one, out just in general, and two, to continuously get an update on what's happening. It's kind of a black box, so to speak. So we'll just basically have to wait and see what happens. But for now, and what I wanted to say, this isn't just Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia.
Right.
We have the United States involved. We have a lot of the European Union countries are involved. Finland is like mobilizing, and Sweden is moving troops over to Gotland, which is an island in the Baltics that is theirs. Like things are happening, you know.
But this is
from
the
this Russian move
between Russia and Ukraine, not Russia and Belarus, who presumably are more like allies. But this attack came from within Belarus.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Belarus and Russia.
I guess that's what I don't understand. Like, how does this escalate those tensions between Russia and Ukraine? I guess if not just for like an excuse.
It's well, yeah. Can I say what? Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. In fact, I do want to interrupt. I'm interrupting. Here's the interesting thing about it for me, right? Not actually this specific situation, which is fascinating, and John knows a lot more about the politics than I do. The fascinating part for me is the fact that there was the guerrilla aspect of it, that they were able to disrupt physical movements of Russian troops. Forget the actual countries involved, but this is, it kind of says to me that like Ukraine has a chance to fight back against cyber warfare, or anybody has a chance to. Everybody's connected to the internet, right? So this could have been anyone. I mean, the Belarusian guys claimed credit for this, but I could have a go at, disrupting an international conflict from Malta if I wanted to. Anybody could. It's going to be harder. So infrastructure in Russia is going to be much harder to attack.
Yeah.
But it's the internet. We know that nobody's invincible, and it's generally much easier than you would expect to take down a big...
What you just said is actually super interesting, because you said the Russian infrastructure is hard to attack. The hacktivists attacked their own infrastructure, right? But by doing so, affected direct, like you said, Russian, mobilization to the Ukrainian border. So because they're moving troops there. So 100% anyone can be a dog in this fight. Anyone can be, raising up cyber arms, so to speak, if they have the means and the capability, or just basically a laptop and a reliable internet connection, and some knowledge. But
so why isn't somebody like the US or one of the countries on the Ukraine side of this doing that?
Well, state-sponsored attacks are a little bit,
we're moving into position for a shooting war. Like, why? If that's
well, the United States and other allies of Ukraine are already providing them with weapons, and they're calling up reserves. And Ukraine themselves are also moving troops into position. This isn't only about the cyber aspect. That's just what we're really interested in. Ukraine is also getting extremely ready.
If someone could disrupt the deployment of Russian troops by doing this, why aren't we doing that?
Because I think it's an act of war.
Yeah.
When it comes from a state. Right? But for all we know, the United States might have sponsored the Belarusian hacktivists, or the UK or France or any other allies.
Way too spy movie for me. I mean,
but it's true. What do you mean? This happens all the time. United States sponsors rebels all the time.
I know, and I think
I don't think that's spy movie at all.
Accelerated by stuff like this. It is spy movie because you're suggesting that the US has sponsored the Belarusian gangs to impersonate things, to like
100%. This happens. Wait,
done it before.
This is a proven track record that the United States do this. South America, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan. Like this is America's.
for sure.
This is
guys,
go-to.
I love
this.
this is the not so critical update, not the so political
Oh,
update.
right.
So yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even think this is
That's the other one.
political. I feel like this is totally relevant because we're talking about a state-sponsored attack under the guise of activists.
Yeah. And if you
The
want
only
your
word you said
nuclear
there
war,
that
this
was
is how it's
related-
going to happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to win that bet or
only-
not, Peter?
I fucking don't want to win that.
I know.
bet.
Look at him. He's
I
fighting
really hope I
himself
don't
here.
win it. I don't. You can keep the pizza. I just seriously. I hope I'm wrong. It just seems
Hopefully
more and more
things
likely.
de-escalate.
We're not at the end of January yet. Like, but the thing that gives me hope is that Russia's approach is all about like being edgy and being unpredictable and just kind of getting to the limits of, oh, you never know what they're going to do next. And I don't think that. I hope they're not actually going to do anything.
Well, that's not
Who's
true at
doing
all.
that?
In 2000, when was it? 2014? They literally invaded the Ukraine
Yeah, Crimea.
and they annexed an area. So I think that's totally wrong. Russia is known for grabbing land and repossessing land that once supposedly
right.
was theirs.
I made a mistake
what I'm
there.
saying? You get what
I
I'm
made
saying?
an actual political opinion, and I'm obviously ignorant of it. And it
No,
got
that's not what I meant. I didn't mean
I
to,
unintentionally
I didn't mean to-
baited John into giving me an actual
History
response,
lesson.
and I'm so sorry.